Atlanta woke up to a storm it never saw coming. It wasn't thunder or rain, it was revelation. Kirk Frost's name was back in headlines. And this time, it wasn't because of Rashida's boutique or some throwback family storyline. No. This time it was because someone from his own circle finally spoke. His former manager. The man who handled his checks, his bookings, and allegedly his secrets. The confession hit the internet like a match dropped in gasoline. The affair never ended. Jasmine was on payroll. Within hours, blogs exploded. Old photos of Kirk and Jasmine resurfaced. That poolside clip from 2018 started trending again. Fans dug through past episodes of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, freezing frames and dissecting glances. "Look at how he looked at her there," one fan tweeted. "That's not a man who moved on." Meanwhile, Rashida's silence spoke louder than any caption could. She hadn't posted since the night before, when she uploaded a photo of her boutique window with the words "Stay focused." Now, under that same post, the comments were full of chaos. "Sis, focus on your divorce. Jasmine was on payroll. This can't be real." The manager's claim came during an interview on a small but notorious gossip podcast known for dragging H-cast members into the light. His tone was calm, almost smug, like someone who had been holding a truth too long. He said Jasmine's name 3 times. He said the money came monthly. And he said Kirk told him, "Just keep it quiet. Man, it's better this way." The hosts gasped. One even covered her mouth. The clip went viral in minutes. Soon, Kirk's reputation, already bruised from years of scandal, started to crumble again. People remembered the DNA tests, the hotel rumors, the public apologies. But this was worse. This meant that while Rashida rebuilt her life, opened her stores, and smiled for cameras, Jasmine might have still been on his books, quietly, conveniently, paid. By mid-morning, Jasmine's Instagram went private. Too late. Screenshots of her recent vacation photos, her new car, even her nails were being dissected. "Look at that bracelet," someone wrote. "That's the same one Kirk wore last week." Then came the whispers from the crew. People who worked behind the scenes on the show started sending messages to bloggers, saying the tension on set had been real for months. That Rashida had confronted Kirk about a missing account. That Jasmine had been spotted near one of his business meetings. By afternoon, a full picture was forming. This wasn't a rumor born on Twitter. It was the kind of story that leaves a marriage shaking. Fans wanted receipts. They wanted voice notes. They wanted blood. And somewhere in Atlanta, Kirk Frost was silent. Too silent. The internet wanted answers, but the truth, if it existed, was about to unfold in ways no one was ready for. Because if the manager was right, then this wasn't just an affair. It was a funded relationship hidden in plain sight. And Atlanta, as always, was watching. It started the way most scandals do, not with a bang, but a whisper. Atlanta's morning air felt heavy, as if the city itself knew something was about to break. Kirk Frost sat in his studio office, the blinds half drawn, the phone buzzing nonstop. Every time he reached for it, he stopped halfway, his hand trembling slightly, because every new message could be another leak, another headline, another name he couldn't control. The podcast clip had already made rounds, and now the story was no longer his to bury. Jasmine was on payroll. 5 words that turned years of damage control into dust. He played the clip again and again, hoping to hear something different. But the voice of his old manager was clear, steady, and sharp. The kind of tone that doesn't come from gossip, it comes from confession. Rashida had not called yet. That silence was worse than shouting. She always called when something hit the blogs. She would scold him, demand answers, threaten to leave, then cool down. But this time, nothing. No calls, no texts, no scene status. She had gone quiet in a way that made Kirk's stomach twist. He knew what that meant. She was gathering information. And Rashida gathering information was more dangerous than any rumor. Meanwhile, Jasmine's name was everywhere. Her face on gossip pages, her Instagram posts under fire, her DMs leaking in screenshots that might or might not be real. One of them read, "He said it was just business. But business don't pay for vacations." People were arguing online about what that meant. But Kirk knew exactly what it meant. The payroll. It had started innocent, or so he told himself. After the chaos of the DNA scandal, he had promised Rashida transparency. But behind the scenes, Jasmine was struggling. She wanted to start a beauty line. Said she didn't want to rely on baby daddy energy. Kirk agreed to help her set it up. As an investor, he said, not a man. That was the line he repeated to himself. But that line blurred fast. Every payment, every transfer, every loan that never got repaid turned into something else. Something he couldn't explain if anyone looked too closely. And someone had looked. His old manager, Marcus, had been with him for nearly 10 years. He handled shows, contracts, invoices. But when Kirk started diverting money under creative partnerships, Marcus asked too many questions. Kirk told him to let it go. Marcus didn't. Instead, he started keeping records. And now, all those records had become ammunition. At that very moment, across town, Rashida was in the back of her store, sitting at the office desk with her laptop open. Her assistant tried to speak, but she waved her off. The only sound in the room was the low hum of the air conditioner and the voice of Marcus echoing through her speakers. She had watched the full podcast twice, pausing at every sentence. It was ongoing, Marcus said. He told me Jasmine was consulting for Frost Productions. I never saw her at the studio, but her name was on check same amount, every month, for almost 3 years. Rashida leaned back, eyes fixed on the screen. Her chest felt tight. She wanted to believe there was some mistake, some exaggeration, but the numbers didn't lie. She remembered those same invoices. She had even signed off on a few when Kirk said they were for digital marketing. Digital marketing. She closed her eyes, whispered to herself, "You played me again." Her phone buzzed hundreds of messages, missed calls from friends, fans, even bloggers pretending to check in. But one name caught her attention, Jasmine Washington. The message was short. "You should hear my side before you go public." Rashida's hands froze. For years, that name had been a ghost that haunted every room she entered. But now the ghost was texting her directly. She didn't reply. She just stared at the message until the letters blurred. Back at the studio, Kirk finally called his lawyer. "We got a problem," he said, his voice low. The lawyer sighed. "Another one." "Yeah, but this one's real." Marcus went on air. "He's talking numbers, not rumors." "What's he saying?" "That Jasmine was on payroll." And he hesitated, swallowing hard. "He's right." A long pause filled the line. "You realize how that looks?" "I know how it looks. I need to fix it before Rashida burns the whole house down." "You can't fix what's public, Kirk. You can only manage what's next." He ended the call, ran both hands down his face, and exhaled. The walls of the office suddenly felt too close. Through the window, the Atlanta skyline shimmered, calm and indifferent, like it had seen this story before. Meanwhile, Jasmine sat in her apartment scrolling through comments, every second worse than the last. "Homewrecker, scammer, get your own bag." But then, hidden between insults, a few voices defended her. "He used her," one wrote. "You think she got paid for nothing? She earned that money somehow." She didn't reply, but her phone kept lighting up. She finally typed a message to Kirk. "They're dragging me. I didn't ask for this." He saw it, didn't reply. A minute later, she sent another. "You told me it was safe." Still no reply. So she called him, straight to voicemail. She tried again, and again. Finally, on the 4th try, he picked up. "Stop calling," he said immediately. "Oh, now you answer. After you put me out here like this." Jasmine's voice cracked with anger. "I didn't put you out there. Marcus did. Marcus worked for you. He got those records from your office. You really gonna act like I leaked this?" "I'm not saying that." "Then what are you saying?" "Because people think I was your employee, your side chick on salary." He rubbed his forehead, pacing. "Look, Jasmine, you got paid for consulting. Okay, that's the truth." She laughed, a sharp, bitter sound. "Consulting what?" "Your ego." He didn't answer. She continued, "You told me you'd help me build something for me and the baby. You said this was a real business, not hush money." His silence said everything. Her tone softened. "Kirk, they're killing me online. I can't even go outside. I need you to fix this." "There's nothing to fix," he muttered. "If I say anything, it makes it worse. You know how these blogs work, so you'll let me drown." Again, he didn't reply. The line went dead. By evening, the story hit television. Major entertainment outlets picked it up, using dramatic graphics, old footage, and slow-motion clips of Rashida crying in past seasons. The headline blared, "Exclusive, Kirk Frost's manager claims affair never ended." Fans were glued to their screens, dissecting every gesture, every word. Even Kirk's son Kai posted a cryptic tweet. "Some truths take time to show." Within minutes, it was deleted. Rashida saw that too. She sat in her car outside their house, headlights off, engine running. She couldn't bring herself to walk in yet. Inside that house were years of memories, laughter, lies, and forgiveness stretched to its breaking point. She finally stepped out, walked slowly to the door, and opened it. Kirk was sitting in the living room, eyes on the muted TV, where his own face filled the screen. For a second, neither spoke. She stood there, arms crossed, staring at him like she was studying a stranger. "So," she said softly. You were paying her all this time. He looked up, trying to find words. It wasn't like that. Then what was it? It was business. She let out a short laugh. Business? You really think I'm that stupid? I was trying to help her. You helped her for 3 years. Kirk. 3 years. And you never thought to tell me? He stood, his voice rising. Because every time I try to fix something, you turn it into World War III. Fix something, or hide something. He clenched his jaw. You think I wanted this to come out? No. She snapped. You wanted it to stay secret so you could play victim again when it blew up. You wanted me to stand by you on camera while you handled business under the table. He stepped closer. I did what I thought was right. For who? She demanded. For you. For her. Because it damn sure wasn't for this family. The silence that followed was suffocating. She looked around the living room. At the family photos on the wall. At the trophies from their businesses. At the reminders of every time she had forgiven him. She shook her head slowly. I can't do this again, she whispered. Not this time. He reached out, but she stepped back. Don't, she said. Don't touch me. He lowered his hand, his voice breaking. It's not what it looks like. It's exactly what it looks like, she replied. Because it always is. Then she walked upstairs without another word. When she closed the bedroom door behind her, Kirk sank onto the couch, staring blankly at the screen as commentators debated his downfall. Across town, Jasmine opened a bottle of wine and sat by her window, the city lights flickering below. Her phone buzzed with messages from producers, bloggers, even former cast members wanting her statement. She ignored them all. She just whispered to herself, they wanted a villain. Fine, I'll give them one. And with that, she opened her notes app and started typing. Whatever she was about to release would change everything again. And Atlanta, still buzzing from the morning's news, had no idea the real explosion hadn't even started yet. The next morning, Atlanta's skyline looked calm. But inside the Frost household, silence cut deeper than shouting. Kirk sat at the kitchen counter, staring at his untouched coffee, phone face down, afraid to see what new headline waited for him. Upstairs, Rashida was pacing the floor, still wearing last night's clothes, mascara smudged under her eyes. She hadn't slept. Her mind kept replaying the same phrase, she was on payroll. Every time she heard it, her chest tightened like someone was pressing a hand against her heart. She finally walked downstairs, slow and deliberate, like she was approaching a man she no longer recognized. Kirk looked up, opened his mouth, then closed it again. She poured herself a glass of water, drank half of it, and said quietly, the lawyer called me. Kirk swallowed. About what? About our businesses. He said if any of that money came from joint accounts, I could be held liable. Do you understand what that means? He rubbed the back of his neck. It's not that deep. It wasn't from our accounts. How do I even believe that anymore? She said, her voice breaking for the first time. You told me everything was done. That you ended it. That we moved forward. You let me look stupid again. He stood and tried to reach for her hand, but she pulled away. Don't, she said sharply. Don't try to calm me down. You've been doing that for years. Smooth talk, soft eyes, and lies. He exhaled, lowering his head. I made a mistake. I was trying to help her. No, Rashida said. You were trying to help yourself feel like a hero after you ruined her life and mine. The room fell quiet again, the hum of the refrigerator filling the air between them. Then her phone buzzed in, other notification. She glanced at it, froze. You're not gonna like this, she said coldly, sliding the phone across the counter. On the screen was Jasmine's latest post. A black background, white text. Since y'all love the truth so much, let's tell it all. Below, it was a screenshot of a payment $5,000 sent from Frost Productions to an account under her name. The date read only 3 months ago. Kirk's stomach dropped. She wouldn't. She already did. Rashida cut in. And guess what? Everyone's tagging me. The comments section was on fire. People writing. Proof, he's still paying her. Rashida deserves better. Fans were reposting it across Twitter, TikTok, and even Facebook, where older fans from the show were dissecting it like detectives. Within minutes, Kirk's phone started ringing. Producers, bloggers, even his own mother. He let them all go to voicemail. What do we do now? He muttered. We don't do anything, Rashida said, grabbing her keys. You deal with it. Where are you going? Anywhere but here. She walked out, slamming the door behind her. Kirk sat down, staring at the floor. The sound of the door echoing through the empty house was worse than any headline. Meanwhile, Jasmine was watching everything unfold from her apartment. The post had already hit 100,000 likes, and her DM notifications were endless. A few bloggers wanted interviews, one even offered to pay her for exclusives. She scrolled through the chaos, shaking her head with a mix of anger and satisfaction. "You played me," she whispered to her phone. "Now I'm playing you." Her best friend, Nia, walked in holding 2 cups of coffee. "Girl, what did you do?" "I told the truth," Jasmine said flatly. "You know that post's gonna bring him to your door." "Good, let him come." Nia sighed, sitting beside her. "You sure you want to go down this road again? People already painted you the villain. This just adds gas to the fire." "They've been calling me that since 2017, Jasmine replied. "Might as well own it." Her phone buzzed a known number. She stared at it for a second before answering. "What's wrong with you?" Kirk's voice exploded through the speaker. "Good morning to you too," she said dryly. "You trying to ruin me?" "No, I'm reminding people of who you really are. You think this helps you? You think dragging me makes your life better?" "It makes it honest," she snapped. "You said it was business. Well, business leaves paper trails. I'm just showing mine." "You're gonna regret this," Kirk warned. "I already regret trusting you," she said and hung up. Kirk slammed his phone on the counter, his mind spinning. He could already see the domino effect: contracts canceled, sponsorships questioned, another season of humiliation waiting to air. Meanwhile, Rashida was sitting in her car in front of her friend Kendra's house. She didn't even knock before walking in. Kendra, still in pajamas, looked up from her couch. "Oh no," she said, "I saw the blogs. You okay?" Rashida sat down, buried her face in her hands. "I don't even know what okay means anymore." Kendra poured her some tea and sat beside her. "What did he say?" "The same thing he always says. It's not what it looks like." Kendra frowned. "Girl, it's always what it looks like." Rashida gave a weak laugh. "You sound like me 10 years ago." "No, I sound like a friend who's tired of watching you fight for someone who keeps choosing the same mistakes." The room fell silent again until Kendra added softly, "So what now?" Rashida looked out the window. "I don't know. Maybe it's time I choose me." Later that afternoon, a new video surfaced in Linen. Old clip from Kirk's studio cameras leaked by someone anonymous. The footage showed Kirk and Jasmine sitting close, laughing, his hand briefly touching hers. It wasn't scandalous, but in the context of the Payroll story, it looked damning. Fans went into overdrive. The hashtags #KirkFrostExposed and #PayrollLove started trending. One fan page even compared the timeline of Jasmine's payments with Kirk's business trips. The overlap was undeniable. Rashida saw the clip on her phone. She didn't cry this time. She just whispered, "He really thought no one would ever find out." By evening, Kirk tried to reach out again, but her number went straight to voicemail. He sat in the dark, scrolling through old photos, birthdays, vacations, Christmas mornings with the kids. He thought about how much he'd built and how easily it could all collapse. Then a knock at the door. He opened it to find Marcus, the ex-manager himself, standing on the porch. "You got some nerve showing up here," Kirk said coldly. Marcus didn't flinch. "I didn't come to argue. I came to tell you it's about to get worse." "Worse? How?" A blogger reached out. "They have your old emails. The ones about Jasmine's contracts." Kirk's pulse quickened. "How the hell they get those?" "Someone hacked into your archives. You might want to get ahead of it before they post everything." Kirk stepped back, rubbing his temples. "I swear this city feeds off my pain." Marcus gave a tired smile. "You made yourself the buffet, bro." Then he turned and walked away. As the night fell, Atlanta buzzed louder. The blogs teased exclusive leaks dropping at midnight. Fans stayed awake waiting. Meanwhile, Jasmine sat alone by candlelight, refreshing her notifications, half anxious, half thrilled. She knew once those emails hit the net, there was no going back. In another part of the city, Rashida stared at her reflection in the mirror, her wedding ring glinting under soft light. She slid it off slowly and set it on the dresser. For the first time in years, she didn't feel fear, just released. And as the clock struck midnight, the internet exploded again. Screenshots, emails, payment breakdowns. One line stood out, bold and undeniable. Monthly retainer. Jasmine Washington Consulting Services. $5,000. Beneath it, Kirk's signature. The comments poured in like wildfire. So it was true. He lied to Rashida again. She needs to leave him for good. And somewhere, between all the noise, one truth settled like dust. This wasn't just about money or betrayal anymore. It was about legacy. About love traded for silence. And Atlanta wasn't done talking. It was past 1 a.m. when Rashida's phone started vibrating on the nightstand. She hadn't planned to answer anyone, but the call wouldn't stop. She glanced at the screen. Mama Frost. For a second, she thought about ignoring it, but something inside her said to pick up. "Baby." Her mother-in-law's voice came soft, trembling. Tell me it's not true. Rashida sighed, sitting up slowly. Which part? The part where Kirk's still paying that girl. I wish I could, she said quietly. But the receipts don't lie. A pause hung heavy. I told him one day he'd lose everything trying to keep two worlds alive. Mama Frost whispered. You've been more than patient. Rashida, you deserve peace. Rashida swallowed hard. I don't even know what peace looks like anymore. After the call, she sat in the dark, scrolling through the leaked emails. She saw Kirk's signature over and over again. The same polite wording. Appreciate your cooperation, Jasmine. Polite, professional, practiced. The kind of tone a man uses when he's already crossed too many lines but still wants to sound clean. Downstairs, Kirk sat on the couch, staring at his own name trending. Every second felt heavier. The emails had burned through the internet like a virus. Every entertainment outlet had picked it up, even the ones that usually ignored H-drama. There was no controlling this now. His phone lit up again, an unknown number. He hesitated, then answered. You still think you can ignore me? Jasmine's voice was calm but icy. You happy now? Kirk shot back. You got your spotlight. I didn't leak the emails, she said. Don't put that on me. Then who did? Maybe Marcus. Maybe somebody else tired of your lies. But I didn't touch those files. He didn't believe her. You just couldn't let it die. You started it. She snapped. You kept me on that payroll like some secret project, told me to trust you, and when I finally do, you vanish. Now I'm the villain again. You are the villain in this story, he said bitterly. She laughed, a low, bitter sound. No, Kirk, I'm just the woman who stopped pretending you were worth saving. The call ended before he could respond. Meanwhile, at a diner across town, young Jock and Kendra sat in a corner booth, watching the chaos unfold on their phones. Damn, Jock muttered, scrolling through a gossip site. Kirk really messed up this time. Kendra shot him a look. You sound surprised. I mean, yeah, but this deep. Payroll deep. You men always act shocked when your friend gets caught, Kendra said, sipping her coffee. But y'all know exactly what he was doing. Nah, he told me it was over years ago. He also told Rashida that, she said flatly. Jock leaned back, whistling. Atlanta ain't gonna let this die easy. They already calling it the Frost Fund scandal. Good, Kendra said. Maybe that'll finally make her see he'll never change. By morning, news outlets had pushed the story beyond the gossip world. MAINSTREAM. Sites were analyzing it like a corporate expose. Some even published diagrams showing the flow of money from Frost Productions to Jasmine's account, comparing it to hush payments. Hashtags like #PayrollLove and #Frostgate were everywhere. Outside Pressed Boutique, a crowd gathered, fans, paparazzi, bloggers shouting questions as Rashida arrived in sunglasses and silence. Someone yelled, Rashida, are you leaving Kirk? Another shouted, did you know she was on payroll? She didn't respond, just walked inside, chin high, hands steady. But once the doors closed, she leaned against the wall and took a deep breath, her composure cracking for a moment. Inside the boutique, her staff watched her nervously. One of them whispered, should we open today? Yes, Rashida said. We don't stop business because of his mess. Hours later, Jasmine posted again. This time, a short video clip. She sat on her couch, makeup flawless, tone calm. Since everyone's got an opinion, she began. Let me clear a few things up. I didn't take money to stay quiet. I took money because I worked. Kirk offered me consulting deals. I built content plans, social media strategies, and he paid me for it. That's it. What y'all think we did, that's old news. But at the end of the video, she smirked slightly. Just remember, some people love to rewrite history when they're the ones who wrote it wrong. Fans dissected every second. One slow-motion clip caught her glancing off camera, and people swore someone else was in the room. Others pointed out the gold bracelet on her wrist, the same one Kirk wore in a video months ago. The internet turned into a courtroom, and every frame was evidence. Rashida watched the clip that night, shaking her head. She knows exactly what she's doing, she muttered. Her friend Yandy called just then, voice full of concern. Girl, I saw the video. You good? Define good, Rashida said dryly. Listen, Yandy said, you've been holding that family down for too long. Sometimes being strong just means walking away. You think I should? I think you already know you should. You just don't want to admit it. There was a pause before Rashida whispered, I gave him everything. And he gave you headlines, Yandy said softly. You deserve better headlines. Back at Kirk's studio, chaos reigned. Sponsors called to pause deals. His business partner wanted to temporarily cut his name from certain ventures. His phone was a grenade every ring, another explosion waiting to happen. He finally turned it off and stared at the wall, mumbling, "How did I let it get this far?" His assistant, Dev, stood by the door. "Maybe stop lying to yourself, boss." Kirk glared. "What did you say?" "You heard me. Everybody in this city knew something was still going on. You just thought you could hide behind contracts." Kirk's jaw tightened. "You think you know me?" "No," Dev said quietly, "but I know what guilt looks like, and you've been wearing it since the day I started working here." When Dev left, Kirk sat alone again. Outside, rain began to fall, soft at first, then heavy, like the city itself was washing him clean or drowning him. Late that night, Jasmine got a text from an unknown number. "Meet me at the old studio tomorrow, 10 a.m., no cameras. We need to talk." She knew the tone. Only Kirk could write like that. She typed back, "Fine." One last time. The next morning, she arrived at the studio. It smelled of dust and memory. Kirk was already there, wearing a hoodie, eyes tired. "You really had to post those screenshots," he said. "You really had to lie for 3 years." She shot back, "You think I wanted this out? You didn't mind when I was quiet." He sighed. "I didn't do it to hurt you. You didn't do it to help me either." She said, "You did it to keep me under control." He looked up, eyes narrowing. "That's not fair." "Neither was paying me like a secret," she said softly. "You turned me into a paycheck with a name." For the first time, Kirk had no defense. He just stared at her, broken. "So what now?" Jasmine asked. He shrugged. "I don't know. I lost everything that mattered. Maybe that's the price of pretending," she said. Then, after a moment, "For what it's worth, I never hated you. Then why ruin me?" She looked at him with sad eyes. "You ruined yourself." As she walked away, cameras flashed outside. Someone had tipped off the press. The quiet meeting turned into another headline. Kirk Frost and Jasmine Washington meet secretly after payroll scandal. By noon, the footage was everywhere again, and Rashida saw it too. She stared at the screen, expression unreadable. Then she whispered to herself, "That's all I needed to see." And with that, she opened her laptop, typed out a single statement, and posted it. "Some lessons take longer to learn. I'm finally learning mine." Within minutes, her comments section flooded with hearts, prayers, and fire emojis. Fans knew what it meant. Rashida Frost was done being silent. But what she didn't know yet was that Jasmine wasn't finished either. Because Jasmine had one more secret left. And it wasn't about money. It was about a recording one Kirk thought he'd deleted years ago. And when that voice note surfaced, Atlanta would never look at any of them the same again. Midday light slanted across Atlanta, thick and bright. The kind of heat that makes the air shimmer. But online, the temperature was different, cold, merciless. The clip from Kirk and Jasmine's studio meeting had gone viral in less than an hour. Slowed down replays, captions in bold white letters, fans screaming he still loves her, and Rashida needs to run, flooded every feed. Rashida was in her boutique office again, scrolling through messages that never stopped coming. Celebrities, old castmates, even people she hadn't spoken to in years were texting their sympathy or pretending they were just checking in. She read them all with a numb calm, her mind somewhere else. Every buzz of her phone felt like a mosquito bite she no longer had the energy to swat. Then a voice memo appeared from an unknown number. She pressed play without thinking. There was static first, then Jasmine's voice, steady, low, deliberate. "You can keep pretending, Kirk, but the truth always finds its way out. I still got that file. You remember the one?" The recording ended. No more than 10 seconds, but it was enough to make Rashida's breath catch. She replayed it twice, trying to piece together the timeline. Was this new, or something old that leaked? She checked the file, info timestamped, just 2 days earlier. Across town, Jasmine sat in her car outside a small production office, a coffee in one hand, her phone in the other. Her reflection in the mirror looked calm, but her pulse thudded fast. She had just sent that same voice note to a blogger named Candace, who had been begging for an exclusive. "If I drop it," Candace said earlier, "we talking millions of views. You sure you want to go there?" Jasmine had smiled faintly. "Go there, baby. I live there." Inside Kirk's studio, the team was falling apart. His assistant Dev slammed a laptop shut. "It's everywhere, man. Jasmine's hinting about some recording." Kirk's head snapped up. "What recording?" She said a file. Said you told her to delete it. His blood ran cold. He knew exactly what it was. Years ago, during the first wave of their mess, Jasmine had secretly recorded one of their arguments the night he told her, "Don't worry about Rashida, I got everything under control." She'd kept it as insurance. He thought it was gone. He snatched his phone, calling her. Voicemail. He called again. Voicemail. By then, Rashida had already forwarded the clip to her lawyer. She wasn't sure what it proved yet, but she knew one thing: it wasn't over. By sunset, Candace's gossip blog posted a teaser. Exclusive audio dropping tonight: Kirk Frost caught in secret recording confirming payroll affair. The caption alone broke the internet. Fans lost their minds. Live reaction streams started before the file even went public. At 9 p.m., the audio dropped. Static. Then Kirk's unmistakable voice. Low but clear, "You know what we got going. It ain't over till I say it's over. I'm taking care of you for a reason. Just chill." The world froze. That one line destroyed everything he had left. Twitter erupted. So it was real. Rashida deserves an Emmy for all the forgiveness she gave. He paid her to keep quiet. Within minutes, Kirk's name was trending worldwide. Sponsors cut ties. TV producers debated if he could even appear next season. Meanwhile, in her kitchen, Rashida listened to that clip 5 times in silence. Her hands didn't shake. Her eyes didn't water. She just felt something inside her harden for good. Her friend Carly Red called screaming, "Girl, you heard that? I told you years ago he was still creeping." "I heard," Rashida said quietly. "What you gonna do?" "What I should have done a long time ago." Carly gasped. "You leaving?" Rashida looked out the window at the city that had watched her pain for a decade. "No," she said. "I'm reclaiming my peace." Across town, Kirk's phone buzzed, non-stop: lawyers, publicists, even his mama calling to say the church group was praying for him. He ignored them all, pacing like a caged animal. Finally, Jasmine called. "You leaked it." He growled. "No, I didn't," she said calmly. "But I'm not mad at whoever did. You realize what you just did to me?" "No, Kirk. You did it to yourself. You think people gon' love you after this? They'll drag you to— They already did," she said. "This ain't about them. It's about the truth." He slammed the phone down so hard the screen cracked. The next morning, Atlanta felt different. The gossip had reached news anchors, radio stations, even morning shows that never mentioned love and hip-hop unless it was rerun season. Pundits debated whether Jasmine was a victim or a strategist. Others praised Rashida for grace under fire. Rashida didn't speak to anyone. Instead, she drove out of the city, down a quiet back road lined with trees just beginning to turn gold. She pulled over near a lake, stepped out, and breathed for what felt like the first time in months. Her reflection in the water looked tired but free. Meanwhile, Jasmine sat with Candace in a recording booth for a follow-up interview. "You realize you just ended a marriage on air," Candace said. "I didn't end it," Jasmine replied. "I exposed it. Do you regret anything?" Jasmine paused. "Regret, maybe trusting the wrong man, but not telling the truth." Back at Kirk's house, cameras were already parked outside. Reporters shouted his name as he tried to leave in a hoodie and sunglasses. One yelled, "Kirk, any comment on the leaked audio?" Another asked, "Did Jasmine work for you or with you?" He kept walking, muttering under his breath, "You'll get your answer in court." But deep down, he knew no court could fix what was already broken. By evening, the Frost family group chat lit up: his kids texting, "Dad, what's going on?" People at school talking. He couldn't bring himself to reply. Rashida finally broke her silence the next day with one simple post. A black square and white text reading, "The truth don't need defending." Millions liked it within hours. Even celebrities from other cities commented hearts and prayers. She didn't say his name. She didn't have to. Still, the internet wasn't done. A second version of the recording surfaced that night, an extended cut. After the original line, Kirk's voice continued faintly, "You know I'll always look out for you, Jasmine, you and the baby." Fans gasped. The baby. Old rumors reignited. Blogs recycled stories about hidden paternity, secret tests, and family fights. Speculation turned wild. Hashtags #TheBabyTruth and #HiddenHeir started trending. In Atlanta's lounges, everyone was whispering, "You think it's true? You think he'd paying child support off record?" Rashida gon' lose it when she hears that part. Rashida did hear it. Alone in her living room, she played the clip on repeat. Her face didn't change. She just whispered, "So that's how deep it went." Her son Kai came downstairs quietly. "Mom," he said, "don't let him break you." She smiled faintly. "He already did. Now I'm just rebuilding." The next morning, Kirk showed up unannounced at her boutique before opening hours. No cameras, no crew, just exhaustion in his face. "Can we talk?" he said. She crossed her arms. "About what? The payroll, the voice note, or the baby?" "None of that's what you think," he said, voice trembling. "Then make me understand," she replied. He stepped closer. "I messed up, but I never stopped loving you. You love chaos. Not me, she said. You love being chased, forgiven, pitied. I'm done playing the wife who smiles through humiliation. He lowered his eyes. So this been it, she said softly. You just didn't notice. He reached out, but she moved back. Don't touch me, she said. Not till you learn what honesty feels like. Then she walked past him, locked the door behind her, and left him standing on the sidewalk. Paparazzi were already outside, snapping pictures, shouting questions, but she didn't stop. She slid on her sunglasses and kept walking, chin up. By the end of the day, gossip sites declared it official. Rashida Frost leaves Kirk after payroll and voice note scandal. And though Atlanta had seen its share of drama, this one hit different. Because for once, the woman who always stayed had finally walked away. Still, the story wasn't finished. That night, Jasmine received another message from an unknown account. It contained one photo, Kirk and Rashida years ago, holding hands on set, smiling. Beneath it, a single line of text. You think you won. Wait till the reunion. And somewhere, as Atlanta slept, production crews began planning. Because in this city, no scandal ever truly ends. It just waits for cameras to roll again. Atlanta was buzzing again, but this time it wasn't just the blogs, it was production trucks, security vans, and lights being tested outside a downtown studio. The reunion taping was back on schedule, and the Frost scandal had become the main event. People lined the street, hoping to glimpse the cast, phones out, shouting names like it was a red carpet. Inside, producers moved like generals. One of them whispered, "We don't even need a script this time. The scandal wrote itself." The showrunner nodded. "Just keep cameras rolling. Whatever happens, we catch it." Rashida arrived first, early, head held high. Her makeup flawless, outfit simple but sharp. She didn't want drama, but she wasn't running from it either. In the mirror room backstage, she sat quiet while a stylist adjusted her hair. Across the hall, Kirk was pacing, his mic pack already clipped to his hoodie. Jasmine hadn't arrived yet, but everyone knew she would. Production assistants whispered, phones buzzing. She signed the release. She's coming. The moment the news hit the set, tension shifted. Even the security guards exchanged looks. They knew what was coming. Backstage, Carly Red was talking to Erica Mena, eyes wide. "Girl, I can't believe they let all three of them in the same building. This reunion gon' be legendary." Erica laughed, swirling her drink. Legendary or dangerous? The stage lights warmed up, and the host, big personality, smooth voice, took his seat. "We go live in 10, someone yelled. The audience clapped. The countdown began, and Atlanta's messiest saga stepped into the spotlight again. As soon as the cameras rolled, the host smiled. "Welcome back to Love and Hip Hop Atlanta, the reunion. And tonight, we got a lot to unpack. Kirk, Rashida, Jasmine, the payroll, the voice note. The city's been talking, and now we get the truth." The crowd cheered, half for drama, half for blood. The host turned to Rashida first. "You've been quiet through all this. How are you holding up?" She folded her hands, her voice calm but firm. "I'm at peace. Because when the truth's out, you stop explaining." The crowd murmured approval. The host nodded. "And Kirk, there's been a lot said about that recording, the payroll, the ongoing relationship. Is there anything you want to say to your wife and to Jasmine tonight?" Kirk took a deep breath. "I ain't proud of how things look, but people gotta stop believing everything they see online. Half that stuff's taken out of context." Immediately, the audience booed. Carly shouted from her seat, "Boy, that was your voice." He glared. "Carly, stay out of this. You live off everybody else's drama." She threw her hands up. "I just call it like I see it." The host tried to calm them. "Let's keep it respectful. Now Jasmine." The crowd gasped as Jasmine walked out from the side stage. She looked poised, confident, her heels clicking like punctuation. She sat down across from Kirk and Rashida without a word. The host continued, "You've had a lot to say online. What made you come here tonight?" Jasmine smiled faintly. "Closure. And clarity. People think they know everything, but they don't know what really went on behind the scenes." Rashida's eyes didn't move. "Then go ahead. Say what you came to say." The crowd quieted. Jasmine leaned forward slightly. "Kirk told me he was done lying years ago. He said he wanted to keep things professional, but then those monthly payments kept coming. I didn't ask for them. He offered. Said it was consulting. You can call it what you want, but I know what it really was, his way of keeping me quiet." Kirk shook his head. "That's not true." "Then why you signed the checks?" She shot back. The host jumped in. "Kirk, you can't deny the paperwork." He looked tired, voice low. "I was helping her out. I didn't want her struggling. That's it." Rashida finally spoke. "You were helping her out while I was helping you. You turned our business into your cover story." The audience applauded. Jasmine sat back, arms crossed. The host leaned in. So Jasmine, about that voice note, did you leak it? She paused, then smiled. No, but I'm not mad it came out. Gasps rippled through the room. The host grinned. Well, the internet thanks you for the entertainment. The tension grew heavier. Kirk rubbed his temples, muttering, this some bull. The host said, so let's ask the question everyone's been waiting for. Was there still a relationship between you two after the baby scandal? The room went silent. Cameras zoomed in. Kirk hesitated, eyes darting between them. Rashida's gaze didn't waver. Answer the question. He opened his mouth, closed it, then whispered, it wasn't like that. The crowd groaned. Jasmine laughed under her breath. Translation, yes. The host raised an eyebrow. That sounds like a yes to me. Kirk snapped. Y'all twist everything. It wasn't romantic, it was complicated. Rashida stood abruptly, her chair scraping. You know what's complicated? Staying married to a man who don't know the difference between business and betrayal. The audience erupted. Cameras caught every angle her glare. His guilt, Jasmine's smirk. The host motioned for a break, but producers gestured to keep rolling. Behind the scenes, one of the cameramen whispered, this is gold. After the first segment ended, Rashida walked off stage, breathing hard. Carly followed, trying to comfort her. Girl, you handled that like a queen. Don't let him drag you back down. Meanwhile, Jasmine stayed on stage, touching up her lipstick. Kirk leaned toward her, voice low. You think you won something by being here? She didn't look at him. I didn't come to win. I came to end it. He frowned. You ended my life on TV. No, she said softly. I just showed people the part you tried to edit out. After the break, the reunion returned live. This time, producers added a surprise twist. They played unseen footage from earlier in the season. An argument between Kirk and Jasmine caught on a crew member's phone. In it, he could be heard saying, just stick to the plan, Jasmine. I'll make sure you get paid. The audience screamed. The cast lost control. Wow, the host said dramatically. That sound familiar, Kirk. His face went pale. Y'all really gone air that? We just did, the host said. And judging by Rashida's face, I don't think she's hearing this for the first time. Rashida didn't say a word. She simply stood, nodded once, and walked off again. The audience chanted her name as she left. Backstage, she grabbed her bag, ignoring producers calling her name. One followed her, begging, please, we need one last confessional before you go. She turned and looked straight at the camera. I gave this man half my life, and he kept giving pieces of it away. So if this is what closure looks like, I'll take it. Then she walked out the studio door. The episode wrapped in chaos. Kirk stormed off in the opposite direction, slamming a door so hard the crew flinched. Jasmine sat alone on the couch as lights dimmed, scrolling her phone while comments rolled in live. Queen behavior. She said what needed to be said. Atlanta's not ready. Outside, night fell over the studio. Reporters waited for quotes, flashes popping in every direction. Rashida's car pulled away without stopping. Kirk disappeared through a side exit. Jasmine lingered a moment longer, looking up at the city lights. She whispered to herself, he made me the villain. Now I'm just the ending. The next morning, the reunion footage hit every timeline. Clips of Rashida walking out played side by side with slow-motion shots of Jasmine smirking and Kirk looking broken. The comments were relentless memes, reactions, think pieces about the cost of forgiveness. Even mainstream talk shows discussed it, calling it reality TV's rawest moment in years. Back at home, Rashida finally felt something close to relief. She made breakfast, played music, and ignored her phone. Her son walked in and smiled. You good, Ma? She nodded. For once, yeah. Then the phone buzzed again, a message from production. We need a sit-down finale interview with you tomorrow. Just you. Tell your truth. She stared at the screen for a long moment, then typed back, see you at noon, because she wasn't done yet. The next day, Rashida sat in front of the camera, no audience this time, just quiet. She took a breath and said, I used to think forgiveness meant staying. Now I know it just means letting go without hate. Kirk's gonna have to live with what he did. I'm just gonna live. The producer whispered, that's perfect, but she wasn't finished. And to Jasmine, she continued, looking straight into the lens, I hope you find peace too. 'Cause the truth is, we both lost something behind his lies. When the final cut aired, fans cried, laughed, debated, reposted. RATINGS, broke records. But off camera, for the first time in a long while, Rashida didn't care. She wasn't trending for pain, she was trending for strength. And somewhere across the city, Kirk watched that final clip alone, his reflection staring back from the dark TV screen. For the first time, he understood what silence really felt like. Atlanta had moved on, but the echoes of the scandal stayed, floating through gossip blogs and podcasts that refused to let it die. Still, behind every post and every headline, one truth rang clear. The payroll affair might have started with money, but it ended with freedom. And for Rashida Frost, that was the first thing she hadn't had to share with anyone. The weeks after the reunion felt strange. Atlanta had moved on to new gossip, new drama, new faces to pick apart. But for the Frost family, silence was the loudest sound in every room. The cameras were gone, but the echoes of everything that had been said still clung to the air like perfume that wouldn't fade. Rashida's mornings were different now. No early calls from producers, no headlines waiting to bruise her before breakfast. She woke up early anyway, brewed her coffee, and sat near the window of her boutique office, watching the city stretch itself awake. Her reflection in the glass looked lighter, somehow still tired, but free. Her assistant came in quietly one morning, holding a stack of envelopes. "From fans," she said softly. "They've been coming all week." Rashida smiled faintly. "People really took this to heart, huh? Some of them crying in these letters," the assistant said, "saying you inspired them to leave bad relationships, start their own businesses, even cut off their toxic exes." Rashida chuckled softly. If my pain became somebody's peace, maybe it wasn't wasted. She opened one letter at random. It read, "You showed me that walking away isn't weakness, it's healing. Thank you." She set it down, her eyes warm but distant. Meanwhile, Kirk was trying to rebuild what little remained. The studio had gone quiet. Most of his team quit after the reunion fallout. Deals froze. Phone calls went unanswered. He'd spent years thinking he was the mastermind controlling every angle, managing every crisis. Now he realized he was just a man with too many secrets and not enough people left to believe them. One night he sat in the studio, lights low, the hum of old speakers filling the silence. He played one of his old tracks, a beat he made before the fame, before the mess. The sound was simple, clean, untouched. For a moment, it reminded him of who he used to be. Then the guilt crept back in. His phone buzzed once. Jasmine. He stared at her name on the screen but didn't answer. She texted again. "You don't have to hate me." He typed a reply, deleted it, then set the phone down. Across the city, Jasmine was sitting alone on her balcony. Her followers had doubled since the reunion. Her DMs full of offers, interviews, brand deals, podcasts begging her to tell her side. But none of it felt like a win. Fame without peace was just another kind of noise. Naya, her best friend, came out carrying 2 glasses of wine. "So what now?" she asked gently. Jasmine shrugged. "Maybe I disappear for a while." "Disappear?" "Yeah," she said. "Let people remember me how they want. I'm tired of proving who I am." "You think they'll ever stop talking?" Naya asked. "No," Jasmine said, "but I can stop listening." She took a sip of her drink, staring at the city lights. "You know the funny part? I used to think Kirk would ruin me. Now I see I did that to myself, keeping quiet for too long." Naya smiled softly. "That's growth, girl." "Maybe," Jasmine whispered. "Or maybe it's just exhaustion." Back at home, Rashida sat on her couch, scrolling through old photos on her phone. Her and Kirk laughing at a party. Their boys posing for Christmas. The family trips that looked perfect from the outside. She didn't delete them. Not out of nostalgia, just acceptance. They were part of the story, but not the ending. Her phone buzzed. Kirk again. This time, she answered. "I know you don't owe me nothing," he said quietly, "but I needed to say thank you." "For what?" "For not destroying me publicly. You could have gone way harder." "I didn't protect you," she said. "I protected myself. I didn't need revenge." "Kirk, I needed peace." He sighed. "I really did love you." "I know," she said. "You just loved yourself more." They both fell silent for a moment. "You think we'll ever be okay?" he asked finally. "We already are," she said. "We just ain't together." She hung up before he could answer. The next morning, headlines popped up again, but this time, they weren't about the scandal. Instead, they were about Rashida launching a new mentorship program for women entrepreneurs. The article quoted her saying, "I built my brand from pain and perseverance. Now I want to help other women build theirs from purpose." The internet flooded with support. Fans reposted clips of her reunion speech, calling it the moment reality TV turned into reality. Even Jasmine shared the article on her story with 3 words. She earned this. It was quiet, almost invisible, but it was the first time she'd ever shown public respect toward Rashida. Fans noticed. Maybe they made peace. Someone tweeted. In a way, they had, not with each other, but within themselves. Weeks passed. The city settled into a new rhythm. Kirk faded from the spotlight. working behind the scenes, slowly paying off debts, both financial and emotional. He visited his kids more, stayed out of the clubs, and for the first time in years, didn't have to rehearse his apologies. Rashida's boutique expanded, her new campaign focusing on resilience and self-worth. She started filming her own online series about rebuilding after betrayal. People loved it not because of the drama, but because of the honesty. In one episode, she said softly, "You can forgive someone and still never look back. Forgiveness ain't about reunion, it's about release." The comment section flooded with hearts and thank. Meanwhile, Jasmine packed her things one quiet morning. No big goodbye post, no press release. She left Atlanta, rented a small place near the beach in Florida, and started journaling every day. No filters, no followers, just her thoughts. Some nights she'd still scroll through old photos of her and Kirk, but the bitterness was gone. The noise had faded. One evening she wrote a single line in her journal, "Maybe love and lies are just chapters in the same book." She underlined it twice and closed the notebook. Months later, Atlanta threw its annual industry gala. The room glittered with lights, laughter, and champagne. Rashida arrived in a sleek black gown, calm and radiant. She shook hands, smiled for photos, and when someone asked about Kirk, she simply said, "I wish him peace." And that was that. No bitterness, no performance, just truth. Back home later that night, she kicked off her heels, sat by the window, and looked out at the city. Her phone buzzed again this time, a text from Jasmine. "You look beautiful tonight. Keep shining." Rashida smiled faintly, typing back, "Thank you. I hope you're doing well." For the first time since the storm began, the past felt like something that belonged to another life. As the clock struck midnight, the lights of Atlanta flickered softly, washing the skyline in gold. Somewhere, Kirk was sitting in his studio again, alone, but finally sober, not just from liquor, but from lies. He pressed play on a new track. No words, just sound. And for once, it didn't remind him of what he lost, it reminded him of what he still had left. Time. Rashida curled up on her couch, eyes closing, peace settling over her like a blanket. Jasmine stood on her balcony in Florida, watching the ocean breathe against the sand. 3 lives tangled in chaos, now quietly untangling. No one issued statements anymore. No one chased headlines. There was nothing left to prove. The city had its gossip, but they had their quiet. And in Atlanta, that was the rarest thing of all. Because at the end of it all, money fades, fame fades, but peace stays when the cameras stop rolling. And for the first time in years, Rashida Frost wasn't acting strong. She simply was. Weeks turned into months, and the storm that once ruled Atlanta began to settle into whispers. The gossip blogs had moved on to fresher scandals, the timelines filled with new faces and new heartbreaks. But for Rashida Frost, the quiet wasn't empty, it was finally her own. The first few mornings felt strange. No one calling for statements, no makeup chair, no producers waiting for tears. She didn't have to check her reflection against anyone's expectations. For the first time in years, she could just sit with her coffee and hear herself think. She spent hours in her boutique, reorganizing racks by hand, humming to old R&B tracks that played low in the background. Customers who came in looked at her with new eyes, not as the woman who stayed through betrayal, but as someone who survived it and still smiled. They'd whisper things like, "You're so strong and we watched you grow." And she'd just nod softly, grateful but private. At night, she drew, sometimes a few lines, sometimes pages. One entry read, "Healing isn't loud. It's the silence after the storm where you start to hear your heartbeat again." Another, "I don't miss him. I miss who I thought he was." Her kids visited more often now. Her youngest would sit on the couch, scrolling through his phone, saying, "Mom, people really love you out there. They call you goals." She'd smile, pretending it didn't sting a little that people saw her pain as inspiration, but she also knew that's what made her real. Meanwhile, Kirk was living quieter too, but for different reasons. The studio was half empty most days, equipment unplugged, lights dimmed. The sound of his own beats felt foreign. He tried to make new music, but every chord sounded like regret. Sponsors had dropped out one by one. Friends stopped calling. Even some family kept their distance. One afternoon, he drove past Pressed Boutique without meaning to. Through the glass, he saw Rashida helping a customer, laughing softly, looking alive. For a moment, he almost parked, but then he realized there was nothing left to say that hadn't already been said too late. He drove on. At home that night, he pulled out old notebooks filled with scribbled lyrics and budgets. Tucked inside was a photo of him and Rashida from years ago, smiling, young, unstoppable. He sat there for a long time before whispering, I really did mess up something good. He decided to make a video, not for fame, not for views, but for honesty. Sitting in front of the camera, no stylist, no lighting, just truth. He said, I ain't doing this for sympathy. I just want to say I see it now. I see every mistake, every lie I thought I could outrun. I thought I was keeping my world together, but I was really tearing it apart. He posted it quietly to his own page. It didn't explode the internet, it didn't trend. It just sat there, gathering slow, steady views from people who still believed in accountability. The comments surprised him, some harsh, but some kind. Growth looks good on you. It's never too late to change. In Florida, Jasmine saw the clip while scrolling late at night. She didn't repost it, but she watched it twice. She recognized that tone in his voice, the kind that comes when pride finally dies. For the first time, she didn't feel anger, just distance. She whispered, maybe this is how stories really end, not with fireworks, but with people finally getting quiet. Her life had changed too. She'd started volunteering at a community youth center, teaching young girls about branding and independence. Don't ever let your story be written by somebody else, she told them. And if it ever is, make sure you rewrite the ending. She didn't hide her past, but she didn't live in it either. When someone asked her about Kirk now, she just said, we were chapters in each other's lessons. That's all. Back in Atlanta, Rashida started a small podcast, nothing flashy, no guests with drama, just her voice and a microphone. She called it Real Talk After the Storm. The first episode opened with her saying, everybody loves to see you break. But the real glope is when you rebuild without applause. The show grew faster than she expected. Women from around the country wrote in, sharing their stories of betrayal, healing, starting over. One episode hit different. She said softly, to the woman watching this right now who thinks forgiving yourself means forgetting what happened, no, baby, forgiveness means you remember without bleeding. The clip went viral on its own. Not messy viral, healing viral. Teachers shared it. Preachers quoted it. Fans clipped it to montages of her smiling again. It wasn't the kind of fame she used to chase, but it felt right. A few months later, she got an invitation from MTV to do a special called The Rise of Rashida. She hesitated at first. Part of her didn't want to relive it, but part of her knew the story wasn't about pain anymore, it was about power. She agreed. On the day of filming, she walked through her old boutique, past shelves lined with new designs, employees she trained, and customers who cheered her on. The crew followed her as she said, people thought I broke, but breaking just means you're ready to rebuild, right? Meanwhile, Kirk watched the promo from his apartment. He didn't reach out this time. He just smiled a little and whispered, she earned that. The premiere night arrived. Atlanta's skyline glowed brighter than usual. Watch parties popped up in lounges and bars across the city. Fans clinked glasses every time Rashida appeared on screen. Her story played out in slow motion, the rise, the fall, the rebuild. At the end, the narrator's voice said, and through it all, she chose peace. Tears filled her eyes as the credits rolled. She wasn't crying from sadness this time. It was gratitude. Later that night, she got a text from an unknown number. It said, proud of you. Keep shining. She didn't need to ask who it was. She just replied, thank you. The next morning, Jasmine posted a picture from her beachside porch with the caption, new season, no bitterness. The comments section filled with hearts. Fans wrote, growth looks good on you too. Atlanta had officially moved on. But beneath the calm, there was still a quiet thread connecting them all, not love, not hate, just history. One Sunday afternoon, by pure coincidence, they all ended up in the same restaurant. Rashida walked in first with friends, Kirk already sitting in a corner booth. Jasmine was at the counter picking up a takeout order. For a brief second, the air froze. 3 stories, 1 room, no cameras, no producers, just real life. Rashida met Jasmine's eyes first. They exchanged a small nod, acknowledgement, not alliance. Kirk looked up, his eyes flickering between them. No words were said. Jasmine took her bag and walked out. Rashida sat down with her friends. Kirk stayed seated, staring into his drink. But somehow, that quiet moment said everything the reunion never could. Later, as Rashida drove home, she smiled to herself. That's closure, she whispered. The city carried on, as it always did, cars honking, music thumping, people living, but for the first time in years, there was no tension pulling at her chest. She could breathe without wondering what headline was coming next. The following week, she filmed another podcast episode. Her voice was calm but warm. When people ask if I regret anything, she said, I tell them no. I learned, I grew, and I finally met the woman I was supposed to be. Listeners flooded the comments with messages. This healed me. You don't know how much I needed to hear this. Thank you for reminding us that peace is power. The network called her again, offering her a spin-off deal. She smiled, but said she'd think about it. This time, she wanted to move on her own time, her own pace. She wasn't chasing moments anymore. She was building meaning. Somewhere, Kirk started mentoring younger artists, warning them not to repeat his mistakes. People said he'd changed. Maybe he had, but the truth was, his biggest punishment was remembering everything. And Jasmine, she began writing a book. The title was simple, Under Contract. She told her editor, it's not revenge, it's reflection. She wanted it to be raw, unfiltered, but honest. When it released months later, the dedication read, to every woman who was told to be quiet, don't. The book hit shelves quietly but stayed there for months. Interviews followed, but Jasmine never said a bad word about Kirk or Rashida again. She said, we all played our part. I'm just telling mine. One summer evening, Rashida got a copy in the mail with a note inside. It said, no hard feelings. Thank you for teaching me strength even when I wasn't kind. It was signed, J. Rashida smiled. She placed the book on her shelf beside her own journals, not as a reminder of pain, but as proof that people can grow in different directions without dragging each other down. Months passed, and Atlanta's skyline kept changing. New towers, new billboards, new dreams. One night, Rashida hosted a charity gala for women's empowerment. The event was elegant, soft jazz playing, candles flickering. Halfway through her speech, she said, I used to think success was being loved by the world. Now I know it's being at peace with yourself. The room stood in applause. Cameras flashed, but this time the moment wasn't about scandal, it was about strength. Afterward, as the hall emptied, she stepped outside. The city air was warm, calm, and alive. She looked up at the sky and whispered a quiet thank you, not to anyone in particular, just to the universe for letting her start over. In the distance, Kirk passed by unnoticed in his car, windows down, music low. He saw her silhouette under the streetlight and smiled faintly before driving off into the night. In that same hour, Jasmine walked along the beach miles away, waves washing at her feet. Her phone buzzed with notifications about her book signing, but she didn't check. She just breathed, letting the tide erase her footprints. 3 lives once tangled by betrayal, now moved in separate rhythms, peaceful, imperfect, human. The story that started as scandal ended as survival. No headlines, no applause, no dramatic outro. Just real people learning how to live again. And maybe that's how every storm is supposed to end, not with a bang, but with a breath. The camera fades from black, the soft hum of Atlanta at night slipping into the background. Rashida's voice would carry first steady, low, still holding that quiet power she built through pain. You've been here the whole time, watching this story unfold, every headline, every leak, every fight that made Atlanta hold its breath. You saw the lies peel back layer by layer until nothing was left but the truth. Not the kind of truth you see in magazines or on gossip blogs, but the kind that costs something. The kind that forces people to choose between who they love and who they want to be. This wasn't just about Kirk or Jasmine or some payroll scandal that blew up the internet. It was about how secrets rot everything they touch. It was about how forgiveness isn't the same as forgetting. And it was about how even the strongest love can't survive when trust runs out of breath. When the first story broke, fans said it was just another reality TV mess. But then they saw what happened after the cameras turned off. The silence, the fallout, the weight of a woman realizing she doesn't owe anyone an explanation for choosing herself. That's where the real story started. You heard the voice notes, saw the receipts, read the texts that circled the globe. You watched Kirk crumble under the truth he tried to hide, and Jasmine learned that winning an argument doesn't always mean peace. You watched Rashida finally do what everyone said she'd never do, walk away. Not in anger, not for attention, but for healing. And maybe somewhere in that, you saw yourself. Maybe you've forgiven someone who didn't deserve it. Maybe you've stayed too long trying to fix what you didn't break. Maybe you've kept quiet when your own truth was begging to be heard. Because this story, as wild as it was never just about Atlanta, it was about every person who ever had to learn the hard way. That love without honesty is just performance. So now the question's yours. Was Jasmine wrong for speaking out? Or was she the only one brave enough to stop pretending? Did Kirk deserve another chance? Or did he finally face the cost of every lie he told? And did Rashida lose a marriage, or did she finally win herself back? That's what we want to know from you. Type your thoughts down below, because this story doesn't end here. Every opinion, every theory, every emotion you drop in the comments keeps the conversation alive. Tell us what you believe. Tell us what you'd have done. Tell us who you stand with. And if you've been riding with us through every twist, every betrayal, every late-night leak that set Atlanta on fire, don't just watch. Hit that like button right now. Make sure you're subscribed, because the next chapter always comes when nobody's ready for it. Turn on your notifications. Stay locked in, because in this city, one truth always leads to another. Someone's always talking, someone's always watching, and the next scandal is already breathing under the surface. But tonight, before we close this one, take a breath. Remember how far Rashida came. Remember how Kirk fell, and how Jasmine found her voice. And remember this, peace doesn't always come with closure. Sometimes it just comes when you stop caring who believes you. So tell us, Atlanta, what do you think really happened behind those studio doors? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Share this video if you felt every word. And if you still believe in second chances, drop a heart. If you believe some doors are better left closed, drop a flame. This is your story now. And as always, stay tuned, stay loud, and stay ready. Because in the world of love and hip-hop, the truth might fade but the tea never runs out.